Hey everyone, it's Jenny from Homestead Corner, and today we're going to talk about the 15 items the Red Cross recommends for a survival kit. Back, we went over the list of items that FEMA recommended, and I think it's important to take a look at other lists. So today we're going to take a look at the 15 items the Red Cross recommends for their emergency kits for you to pack yourself. And this is just a list of items right on their website, and I will put a link to this list down in the description box below if you want to go check it out. They always have a little bit extra items, like if you want to do more type thing. So there are a few more recommended items on there, but this is the basic 15, and I have written them down because I forget everything. So I would never remember this for a whole video. All right, so the first thing that they recommend is 1 gallon of water per person for 2 weeks to store in your home. And I think that is a good place to start. 2 weeks. I definitely would have more than that. If you're going to be dependent on them coming in to help you, you definitely want more than that, because 2 weeks really isn't that long. We have been through power outages, huge ice storms and things like that lasted much longer than 2 weeks. I mean, people were without power for well over a month, and you just had to make do. No one ever came to help anybody, or there was no offer on the radio to, get help here or anything like that. You got to make do with what you got, and they don't just swoop in and save the day. So I think it's important to really look at what are the chances, how long do you think something could last, and a hurricane or something like that, if you're everything around you is destroyed. We deal with ice storms and snow in the winter time, and those things really, they can get dragged out for long periods of time. And so, if I was thinking that I was going to just prepare for an ice storm, I know that I have lived through more than 3 weeks with no electricity because of it. So, definitely I would go for 6 weeks or 8 weeks, or if it was just that one thing I was going to plan for. Definitely I think you should go way bigger, because you don't know what's going to happen, and it can get so much worse. All right, so let's move on to number 2. Non-perishable food. You should have 3 days for evacuation, food ready to grab and go, 3 days worth per person, and also 2 weeks of food stored, non-perishable for in the house. So if you are in a lockdown or can't leave the house or whatever, shelter in place type thing. And definitely the easier the food is to cook, the easier it's going to be on you. So if you are just storing rice and beans, you have got to also be prepared for the fuel and all that. And beans take a long time to cook. So canned beans are going to be better, because you can open and eat those. All right, number 3, flashlights. Everybody should have flashlights, lots of flashlights. Tons of flashlights all over the place, in your bags, hanging on the walls, everywhere, stuck in every cabinet. Tons of flashlights. Their next, number 4, they recommend a battery or hand crank radio with the NOAA weather system. I 100% agree with this. These are great to have. You can get them pretty inexpensive, around $20. You can spend a lot more on them. It depends on what's in your budget and what you're looking for. I personally have one around 20, 25 bucks. I've had it for years, and we use it all the time. It works great. So really, it depends on what you're looking for. You can go, there's a huge spectrum that you can buy. Let's see. Number 5, extra batteries. Definitely extra batteries for those flashlights, radios, lanterns, whatever it is that you use as batteries, you want extra ones to have on hand. Number 6, a first aid kit. If you're buying a first aid kit at the store, I would definitely add to it. They come with a lot of stuff in them, but there's always room for more, and there's definitely more things that can be added into those. Number 7, medications and medical items for 7 days. So they want you to have a stock of extra 7-day medication and medical items. Definitely, if you can get more of that, I think that you should have way more than 7 days if you can. Number 8, a multi-tool. They're handy, definitely. Number 9, they have copies of personal documents, your medication list, the patient's medical info, proof of address, deed, lease, passports, birth certificates, insurance policies. These are all great things to have on hand, definitely in an emergency. Your medication list, especially if you have someone that has a lot of medication, I would even write the regimen down, how they get their medication. You know, if they have these 4 pills at 8 and these 4 things at 12, you know, I'd write down all the stuff and write down what it takes for a day to get through it if you have someone that has a lot of medication that they take. And, you know, having as much of that on hand is going to be super important. Number 10, sanitation and personal hygiene items. That's something we all want to look at. We want to make sure we have that. Being clean in an emergency or disaster situation can definitely make it a lot better for you. You do not want to get sick if it's already difficult to get to the doctor. Number 11, cell phones and cell phone chargers. We should all have those. Pretty much. I don't know anybody that doesn't have a cell phone. I'm sure some people don't, but even the lady that lived across the street from us that was 78 years old had a cell phone. So I think most people do have them. Number 12, a list of family and emergency contacts. I think that is another important thing. It's because especially in emergency or disaster, we all get a little bit nerve-wracked. We panic a little bit. Number 13, extra cash. I think it is really important to have extra cash on hand, especially in an emergency. Small bills are great. The smaller, the better. Change, things like that. So you can get what you need, but sometimes you could be in situations that, you know, you need to get a $5 item and you only have a $50 bill. You know, you got to do what you got to do. And if that person doesn't have change for you, you're paying $50 for a $5 item because you need it. So I think small bills for extra cash is definitely the way to go. Number 14, emergency blankets. These are always great. They can be used for tons of things, keeping you warm, blocking a window, a doorway. If you have an emergency and you're trying to heat one room instead of the whole house because the electricity's out for a long time, an emergency blanket works great to block off one room. And you know, you can, a couple of them, you can cover a door and keep that heat in the room. So it's much easier to heat a small room than it is an entire house. Number 15, maps of the local area. I think those are great. A topographical map if you can. That way, if you have to travel on foot or anything, you can see the elevation and see if it's something that you can actually handle, or you may have to take a different route. Some things, you know, if you're not sure of the elevation, it can get quite steep out there. I've definitely seen it get too steep for me. You know, so I've come up to places on hikes and stuff where you get out into the woods, and part of it, if you don't have rock climbing gear, you're stuck, you know, or you have got to find another way around. You know, I'm not prepared for that kind of thing. So that's a nice thing to have, is a topographical map, and learn how to read it. And that is the Red Cross's list of 15 things. I definitely would expand on that. I think it's a good place to start. And I think it's good to look at all the different lists that you can find, because each one of them are a little bit different, and each one gives you a little different item or a different idea or something like that. So I just love lists. I think they're great, and they're a great thing to build on, to start with, and expand on and stuff. I love lists. Lists are my buddies. And that's it for today. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. Subscribe. We'll see you in the next video. Bye.